Hello, I'm Ron Thomas, and this is Deliverable7. Throughout our lives, we experience many examples of physics every single day. Here I will take you through a recent trip my wife and I took and tell you a bit about the physics we both witnessed and experienced. We woke up on the morning we were to leave for our honeymoon. Before we left, we decided to make some toast to put something in our stomachs. Once we pushed the bread into the toaster, quantum mechanics immediately got to work. Within our toaster were small wires that, when heated, glowed bright red to make our breakfast. Little did we know that inside that toaster a phenomenon known as black body radiation was occurring. This is when a material, no matter what it is made of, whether it is metal, glass, rock, etc., glows a certain color depending on the temperature it is being heated to. Fast forward several hours. We have boarded the plane on our way to paradise. The plane began to speed up down the runway. We could feel ourselves being pressed against the seat from the enormous amount of thrust that is necessary to lift these giant planes off the ground. After enough thrust created the speed necessary, we had liftoff. Once in the air, I immediately did what anyone does on an airplane and looked out the window. While we left Philadelphia International Airport, I peered down at the Delaware River we were quickly passing over. We were able to notice something, thanks to the very famous physicists Galileo and Newton, their contributions to the field of optics. Using my glasses, I was able to notice the incredible amount of trash floating in the river. This reminded me of an article I had read about how they were using the scientific method to solve a very serious problem with pollution, specifically plastic, in our oceans. The article, written by a group of environmental activists, Surfers Against Sewage, was about the scientific method was being utilized to create a type of biodegradable plastic. By using the 6 steps of the scientific method, they had an observation, just as I had. There was a lot of plastic in our oceans. They formulated a question: how can this problem be solved? After the question was finally regarded important enough by the scientific community to develop a hypothesis, which was, what created this problem? The answer to which is simple: we did. Next, predictions were made based on knowledge that had been accumulated from similar studies regarding this problem. Then the prediction was tested. They did this by getting together as much data as they could about the problem. Specifically, what were all the different types of plastic floating around our oceans? Finally, after that, the last step, iteration, was to be done. This is when they put all the information that was gathered to see what they have learned. They then came up with a viable solution, and if it is supported, it is tested. If the tests come back with results that aren't supported, it's back to the drawing board to create another solution to test. Using the scientific method, this process is repeated until a solution is found. As we gained altitude, I continued to gaze out the window and was able to witness a beautiful display of classical physics principles. I was looking west and was able to view the sunset, offering a colorful view of the world and clouds below. I looked at my wife so she could see, and as I did, I caught a glimpse through the other side of the plane and saw the moon, displaying an equally stunning demonstration of physics in action. The fact that we did not even question how this was possible today is because we already know. Thanks to Galileo's observations in heliocentric solar system, we understand why the sun and the moon seem to dance around the sky the way they do. When we landed on foreign soil, we realized that our phones were low. So once off the plane, we found some outlets in the airport to charge them. Outlets were not compatible with our chargers, so we bought adapters from a shop in the airport. We plugged in our phones and took a sigh of relief as they charged. While we waited, we had no idea what was going on in our phones. It was physics. Through Faraday's law, electromagnetic conduction is alternating the magnetic fields inside, which creates electric fields. It is converted from alternating current to direct current before being converted again into amperes or amps. Amps are what actually charge our cell phones. Who knew they went through such a process to do so? Once our phones were charged, we grabbed our bags and prepared to head to the resort. We hailed a cab, and surprisingly, the driver didn't know how to get to the resort. We immediately took out our cell phones and began using GPS. In a few seconds, we had perfectly accurate directions to our resort, and we were on our way yet again. We thought nothing of the fact that Einstein's theory of special relativity was hard at work. The part of this theory having to do with quantum logic clocks that can keep time within a few nanoseconds is how we were able to get such accurate directions. With the satellites traveling so high and fast above the Earth, a physics principle called time dilation occurs, which results in the satellite experiencing time slower than we do on Earth. If not for quantum logic clocks, GPS would be very inaccurate. So you must wonder, what is it that makes our cell phones able to do so many great things? Simply put, it's quantum mechanics. Tiny transistors and semiconductors are processing the data that is being sent to our phone. They manipulate the way the electrons interact with each other on different wavelengths. This makes it possible to make extremely small electronics that help our phones do all the amazing things. Beyond that, quantum mechanics is also behind our cameras and lithium batteries found in our cell phones. Life is awesome, and it's all thanks to physics.